This is Jethro, the producer for the Build in Public podcast, here talking with Stacey about how it's been going and what she's thinking about the Build in Public podcast. You've done 33 episodes so far, Stacey.
Wow.
That's crazy, huh?
Yeah. I told my husband this morning at breakfast that my podcast is my playground and it's like my practice playground. And after doing it 33 times, it's helped me not take myself so seriously. It's helped me have a space and a place to use my voice and process in a way that is safe. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciated this practice space.
What I think is funny is you're like this safe place where anybody on the internet can go listen to it and figure out what I'm saying. That to you is safe is pretty remarkable.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how do you feel about reception? Do you feel like people are listening? Have people reached out to you or mentioned it? What do you think?
No, I've not really heard anything from other people. I also think, though, I've yet to figure out how to put contact info or anything like that. Like I sent you a potential opener. I don't know if you saw that or not, but like thinking about how do I frame an opener and a closer that's maybe pre-recorded so that I don't have to every day when I start have to worry about the opening and the closing piece. So, because a lot of times I don't necessarily tell people about it in the podcast itself.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The other thing that I was just thinking about is I want to put it in a link to my podcast in my signature line in my email. So I've been thinking about where are places and spaces that I can put this as now I feel like, okay, if I put it out there, if people are listening, this is where they can access it without me having to take extra time to think, how do I promote it? And where do I put it? And do I tweet about it? Do I just some places I can put the info?
Yeah. So a couple things on that I would suggest. Number one, I would just have a script for the opening and the closing that you read each time. And then it should be very short, like 15 to 20 words. And hey, this is Stacey Gonzalez. This is Build in Public. You can connect with me here. And then at the end, thanks for listening and blah, 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 whatever you want to say, call to action, whatever. I think because you're talking so much about soul growth and your process through building that, I think having people go to soul growth and do whatever your lead magnet is there for that would be a powerful and worthwhile thing to do. That's what it seems like to me. You can do whatever you want, of course, but that's what I think would be beneficial. Have a script and then just read that at the beginning and the end of whatever you do that day.
Okay. And when you say have them go there, what do you mean by there?
To whatever you have set up for soul growth of how people connect with you there.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I got
That
you.
to me, that seems like the smartest place to send people.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Versus the B Podcast Network which is what I put at the front of it. I'll probably say as a part of the B Podcast Network.
Yes, please do say part of the B Podcast Network because we do
Yeah.
want people to know that it is
Yeah.
part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing that I would suggest as it relates to that is you want people to connect with you on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and put that contact information in there as well. And then that way you've just got this regular stuff that you're saying each time so that people know how to reach out and connect with you.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I will get you a link that you can put in your signature that will get it out on all the platforms so that people can subscribe wherever they're comfortable. It's what I shared with Morning Motivation for Educators. It's a similar link to that I shared in our base camp for the network.
Yeah.
So it'll have Google Podcasts, Spotify, everything. And that's pretty easy to get. And I'll get that for you. So you have it.
Perfect.
So what has been the hardest thing about doing this podcast?
The hardest thing, not knowing sometimes what to say, what to share.
Mhm.
Days are really long and thinking what is the most relevant or salient or important thing that's top of mind when maybe I have 10 things. And then I do it usually at night at the end of a day because I feel like that's the reflection of the day. But sometimes I'm really tired and my mind is not as sharp at the end of the day. And that's probably a little bit hard. Also, thinking I don't feel like I found my thing yet. And if that makes sense. I feel like I said, it's this playground, it's this practice space. I don't want to make what would that be called? Like a shtick. Shtick is not the right word, but I feel like podcast hosts have their shtick or what they're known for. And I don't feel like I know what it is for me yet exactly. And I feel okay with that because I feel like when it's authentic and when it comes to me, I'll know. But I'm watching or listening or reflecting for that thing that feels like the salient through thread to every day. And I don't feel like I feel like I'm getting closer, but I don't have it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And I think that's okay still. The fact is you've done 33 episodes and you've put time and energy into it. How has it benefited you by just doing it,
Mm.
regardless of what people are saying or if people are listening or anything like that?
It's benefited me so much. It has helped me build my confidence in speaking. Is even though for all of my career and I've been in front of audiences and I've spoken publicly and I've done all these things, this is a very different way of me speaking. And so it has opened me up to being more open and vulnerable. And then it helps me when I'm not doing the podcast, when I'm in front of people in person or on a Zoom, it helps me remember I can be calm and confident in my words.
Yeah.
It also helped me. I started doing like random Facebook lives here and there to stretch myself in a practice playground there. And I would have never done that if I hadn't done the podcast. Never would have went on Facebook Live ever.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I think you're doing a great job. I'm loving it. And I think it's wonderful that you're doing it. And like, this is an experiment, and you could decide tomorrow, I'm done and never do another one. And that would be totally fine and no big deal at all. If you're listening to this, thank you. We appreciate it, and share with anybody else. And we'll see how long it goes on and what it grows into.
Can I add one other piece before we go?
Yeah.
What you bring to this. I want to share what you bring as the podcast producer that allows me to do this. Just what you just did and said. I do not feel any pressure from you. And because of that, it allows me to really lean in and be open and not feel like I'm disappointing you or not doing my part for the network or not whatever. And that has been really wonderful. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh. Let me tell you a little interesting tidbit since you brought that up. A lot of people say that you should have high expectations, and I actually believe that you should have no expectations,
Mm,
because expectations are just delayed disappointment. And if you expect something from someone, they're going to feel like they're disappointing you or like they are doing something wrong or whatever. And the fact that you say that it feels so good to me, because
mm,
I don't want you to ever feel like you are beholden to me to produce something. I want it to come from your heart. And that's what I believe you personally have a gift of doing. And I want to help you do that in a different medium that I hope is going to benefit you in some way. And what I think is really cool about our partnership on this is that I do have this great belief in you as a person,
mm,
and what you can accomplish. And it doesn't I don't know how great things you can accomplish. I just know you can accomplish great things. So I don't want to mess that up by making it
mm.
something that it doesn't need to be. And I think that is really powerful. So I'm glad we took the time to do this little conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Stacey's back solo tomorrow for her Build in Public podcast on the B Podcast Network. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.